Welcome back, everybody. Today we're doing something a little bit different than what we typically do here, but it comes from viewer requests. So folks who follow me on my various social media platforms have seen this pistol a good bit because it is undergoing review currently here on the channel. Of course, it is the iconic HK Mark 23. And one thing that's interesting about HK 45 caliber pistols is that they say, HK does, that you can run 45 Super in them just fine with no modifications. So what the heck is 45 Super? Well, a lot of people have been asking me about it and if I've been running it in this gun. So I wanted to make a video comparing 45 ACP to 45 Super. So the background on both calibers is that 45 ACP was invented in the early 1900s. I think 1904, don't quote me on that. So it is well over 100 years old. So due to that design, they were using different propellants than they're using today, modern propellants. So generally speaking, with 45 ACP, load dependent, you're in the 20,000 range in terms of pressure. Whereas modern calibers, more modern rather, like 9mm and others tend to be in the 35 to 40,000 in terms of pressure. So because of the lower pressures that they originally had, a few things came about because of it. Number one is that the case is relatively thin versus other more modern cases that are a little bit thicker, designed to withstand that rapid expansion of the pressure within them. Additionally, a lot of barrels that are made for 45 ACP don't fully support the chamber, and because of that, with a low pressure, it wasn't a big deal. You wouldn't get any bulging, you wouldn't have the risk of a catastrophic failure to your gun, and with 45 Super, that's not the case, right? So 45 Super definitely ups the pressure, and this was invented in 1988, I believe, by a gun writer. I will roll his name in here, and what he was trying to do was modernize the 45 ACP, which is smart, makes sense, right? So with most guns, there are exceptions like the HKs that we talked about. What you need to do in terms of modernizing your gun is either get a new barrel that will fully support the actual round itself and change a spring. Most guns, that's what you have to do to run 45 Super safely in them. That said, before you go out and do it with your gun, definitely check on that to make sure that it is safe, because you don't want your gun blowing up in your hands. That's just not cool, right? We don't want that. So what they did though was they increased the actual thickness there on the case itself, as well as supported it here in the rear. So it's 23% thicker back here towards the bottom of the case. And what that allowed for was it helped to prevent the blowing out of the case should it be fired in a non-fully supported chamber. And obviously it's rated for higher velocities. So what we're going to do today is check the velocity on this and then do a gel test as well with a couple different loads. Now I should note that there is something called 45 plus P, which is basically 45 SAMI rated ammo at 10% higher than what SAMI says you should use for 45 ACP. So there sort of is an in-between option here for folks who are looking to get a little bit more power out of their 45 ACP without having to change the actual caliber to 45 Super. But the loads we have here are some Remington 185 grain jacketed hollow point 45 ACP, SIG Elite Performance 230 grain B Crown, and both of those standard pressure, of course. And then we have our Underwood ammo, and thank you to them for sending this ammo out for this video, 230 grain jacketed hollow point. And then we have our 255 grain wad cutter here. So it's a hard lead wad cutter, so it should penetrate a good bit. And one thing I'm interested in just generally speaking, is this load here, if it's going to what we call overexpand or expand too rapidly. Because a lot of times when you just basically increase the velocity of a bullet, a projectile itself, if it's designed to perform at a certain velocity, then sometimes it performs incorrectly. So for example, if you guys have watched the channel for a long time here, when we do gel tests using like 9mm PCCs with longer than like 5-inch barrels for 9mm, a lot of times what we see is we see a rapid increase in terms of velocity, but in terms of performance, it actually underpenetrates because the bullet just expands too quickly. And I'm not sure if that's the case here with this particular bullet. I have no idea, but I suspect it's possible, but I also suspect Underwood may have thought of that. So we'll see regardless. So what we're going to do first is get the chrono numbers from a couple different guns. Of course, the Mark 23 here, and then a shorter barrel here with our HK 45C, and just kind of see the difference with all the different loads. I'm going to try to just fire a couple rounds just to make it quick so the video is not 40 minutes. and then do some gel testing and discuss the results. And I think that's pretty much going to be it for the video. But just in case anybody's wondering, we have our Bowers Group thread adapter on there. If it looks funny to you, that is why, but we don't have the can on there because it's on another gun currently. Anyway, let's get to those velocities. We got 2 rounds of each loaded in there. First up is going to be the Remington 185 grain, then the SIG 230, then the Underwood 230, then the Underwood 255. The chrono is downrange about 10 feet. 45C first. Not sure about that last reading. Regardless, it is, as you guys can probably see, cloudy, which is not great for chronographs, but the Caldwell tends to do pretty well. Same order here with the Mark 23. Definitely you feel the increase in recoil for sure. It's definitely not terrible though. Before we actually start hitting the gel, I need to thank the sponsor of today's video, and that is the Sonoran Desert Institute. For folks that don't know, they are an online school where you can get degrees in several areas. They are fully accredited, and they take the GI Bill for you vets out there. Basically, if you're interested in a career in the firearms industry, it's definitely something you should check out. Now let's actually hit that gel. I squatted down so I can get in line with the gel. We are using Ballistic Dummy Lab gel. Appreciate them sending it out. I did not recycle it, so it's already got some wound tracks in there. But again, this isn't a dedicated ballistics test, so that's why I didn't do it. I just kind of want to go over penetration. First load up here, 185 grain Remington out of the Mark 23. Let's check it out. Unfortunately, because it's cloudy, that slow-mo probably didn't look all that cool. But regardless, we had our entry, and you guys should be able to see there. It goes all the way down, and the furthest point there is 13.75 inches. Now we'll run it through the 45C to see if it actually penetrates a little bit more, as per my theory. All right, same load, that 185 grainer. We'll see. Let's check it out. I realize it's only a sample size of one, but theory on that one didn't work out. So on that one, it's below it on your screen there. You guys should be able to see it, depending on the angle, I guess. But yeah, that one there topped out right at 12.5 inches in the gel. So let's see how the 230 grain SIG does. 230 grain SIG. You guys can probably see that is our SIG projectile there. It stopped right at 15 inches. However, looking at the wound track, I can see that it actually went all the way out there and then sort of had a bounce back effect. That does happen sometimes with clear ballistics gel, but perfect expansion from here. It's exactly what you would expect it to do, and certainly did well. Let's see how it does out of the compact. Little bit shorter barrel. As you guys probably already noticed, we had more penetration out of that one, again going slower. So in theory, again, not expanding quite as fast. And right there, we're at 16.5 inches, barely pushed into that second block. Now, let's see how this 45 Super is going to do. Underwood 45 Supers. Well, pretty good performance there, as you guys have probably seen. I should note that all of the entrance holes, honestly, they look pretty much identical, not a big difference. Basically, they're all expanded down to about 7 to 8 inches, and then after that, it just kind of continues on without any sort of additional tearing beyond what, of course, the bullet's doing. So with that one there, we had 18 inches of penetration total. It definitely looks like it expanded. It's probably hard to tell, guys, but yeah, that's where it stopped right there. Again, I realize the gel blocks aren't that clear and it's cloudy, but we've got to make videos, so that's what we're doing. Anyway, let's see how it does out of the compact. Let's see how the shorter barrel does. That result is not at all what I expected, which is very interesting. So you guys can see that bullet right there. It stopped right at 12 inches on the dot, maybe 11 3/4. But what's interesting about that bullet is I can see along the wound track the whole time it's shedding copper jacketing there, whereas and it's shedding it early, and whereas with the longer barrel, the shedding of the jacket happens back here, the shorter ones shed it here. I don't know if that's a one-off anomaly. Regardless, we're going to push on with the hard cast that I suspect will punch through both blocks, but I don't know. We'll find out. Hard cast time. I'm not sure what it looked like on the slow-mo, but I can tell you in person what I saw from behind the gel block oriented this way was when it exited the second block, it took a bunch of gel with it and it went flying. Again, I don't know how that looked on camera. Hopefully the camera caught it, but if not, trust me, that's what happened. Now let's try it with the 45 compact. 45 compact. Again, with the slow-mo, you guys know better than me, but what I saw, again, from my perspective, was it went in, and then it looks like it skipped down here low and hit the actual table, scuffing it up a little bit on the way out, but it ice picked all the way through, exactly how we'd expect. 32 inches was nothing for it, no problem at all. So, yeah, definitely will penetrate if you use the right projectiles. So I just went to put everything away in the range bag and realized I forgot to take this load out here. This is 48 Super, again from our friends at Underwood. It is a 185 grain jacketed hollow point bullet, and it's rated for 1,300 feet per second. Since it's gonna mess up the flow of the video, I'm not gonna chronograph it, but we are gonna shoot it into the gel out of both guns, so let's go ahead and do that. 185 grain, 45 Super. Woo. Interesting results there with that 185 grainer. So of course the one down here that we shot first coming out of the Mark 23 penetrated 12.5 inches. Then with the actual 45C, we got about 9 3/4 inches deep in there. And looking at the wound channels, they're both pretty explosive first off, so you can definitely tell it was humming when it hit there. And we had some actual petals break off of each for sure. But I mean, that one definitely expanded a little bit too fast, oddly enough, out of the shorter barrel again. So my hypothesis has just been blown away, with the exception of the 45 ACP. So we're all through with the gel test as well as the chronograph. Hopefully you guys have gotten a lot of information. Again, like I said, I was a little bit surprised at what we saw with the 45 Supers, but it looks like, especially with the 230 grainer, that the folks over at Underwood have taken into account the velocities that it's going at, and it had good terminal performance. Now, again, there's no doubt that the 45 Super was more powerful. Just the raw numbers say that, especially if you count both like weights in terms of bullet projectiles. But do you need it? Does it offer you an advantage? Honestly, I don't know. So if you look around at various studies, you'll see that essentially pistol wounding ballistics tend to be very similar. So even 9mm versus say a decently hot 10mm, in terms of what you actually see in terms of like stopping the threat, if you will, they're pretty darn close because they just don't have the wounding ballistics that rifles have, which of course is much greater because the bullets are moving at faster speeds and our bodies are made of water, right? So that's a hard thing to handle when your body's made of water because you can't compress it. Those rifle velocities definitely do affect things for sure. That said, you know, you're getting into 1,300 feet per second plus here with the 185 grainer. Does it matter? Truthfully, I don't know. Now, one thing I would say is if you are somebody who is like a hiker, or for instance, down at our Florida property, we have black bears there, or they're everywhere. If something like that, like large game is a threat where you live, that hard cast is a definite round to look at. It's going to give you lots and lots of penetration, which if you're facing a bear or some type of big cat or whatever the threat may be, is definitely what you want in that scenario. Again, that's one man's opinion, but it definitely would be what I would go with if I was going into that scenario. You want that penetration on those large threats. That said, the penetration on pretty much all was decent, with the exception again of that 45 compact with our 185 grainer here. It's just expanded a little bit too quickly for what most folks would think. And I should mention, I don't think I've mentioned it at all in this video, I've just presumed that you all knew it. The FBI recommends 12 to 18 inches of penetration in gel. Now they're using organic gel, we're using, synthetic gel, but regardless, that's what they recommend for defensive loads in pistols, 12 to 18 inches of penetration. All of these came very close. Again, probably the exception being that 185 grainer there, but the 45 rounds that you guys saw, both of them, while the Remington is not like a premium defensive round, it's still a defensive round, of course, and the SIG, which is a premium defensive round, I say that in quotes, but the SIG, again, performed exactly as you would expect it to. Great overall expansion. The Remington expanded as well, just not quite as uniform, but both penetrated, beyond 14 inches consistently, which is exactly what you want. Now our 45 Super in 230 grain did so as well, and it definitely hit the gel harder, like it rocked it harder. If you're actually watching the footage, you guys probably know that, but does it really matter? Again, I'm not really sure, but I'll leave that to you guys down below in the comments section to discuss. But I wanted to give you the information so that way you're armed with it and you can go out into the world and make decisions as adults, because that's kind of what I do here. So if you like this type of video and you're not subscribed, definitely hit the subscribe button. If you like this video and you're subscribed and you've hit the notification bell and you're not seeing 2 to 4 videos a week here on the channel, you can sign up for my email list at the website that you see here on your screen. This email goes out at most once a month, and it has all of the videos that have come out since the previous email, so that way there's no social media giant censoring your eyes from my content. Additionally, if you've signed up and you're not seeing it, check your junk and your spam. If you sign up with Gmail, from what I'm seeing, that seems to be the least likely that you're going to actually see it. They seem to be throttling my email more than other email providers. And additionally, if you're looking to get good deals on any of the other things that we discuss here on the channel, basically if we talk about it here on the channel and you like it and you want to get good prices on it, you can sign up for a daily deals email at the website here on your screen, and that email goes out, as the name suggests, daily, and it has 6 or 7 of the best deals that I find around the internet. And if it's in that email, whatever the item is, it's the cheapest that I know of on that particular day anywhere on the internet, so that way it saves you guys time so you don't have to look, and then it saves you money as well on the item that you're looking for. And with that, we'll close the video out. It was a fun one. It's always fun to get the gel out and see what happens. But with that, guys, we will close it out. Thank you for watching. I truly appreciate each and every one of you watching, and I look forward to seeing all of you in the next video.